Full icon energy, working the angles, 1, 2, 3. You got that look to a T. Full icon energy, 1, 2, 3. Welcome to Side Hustle. I am your host, Taylor Young, and Chief Business Correspondent at Queen City News. And this show is all about side hustles. We know more people today are taking on side hustles to kind of make ends meet. So this show is dedicated about learning about all the interesting ways that people are making extra money on the side and how sometimes a side hustle can become a full-blown career and successful business. This week, I am so excited to welcome in Nathan Moran. Welcome to Side Hustle.
Hi, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, so you are an ice sculptor. Fascinating. Let's start with the basics here. So what is ice sculpting?
So ice sculpting is taking a block of ice and making something pretty of it. We can turn ice into, whether it be a swan, a logo, giant eagle, or anything else.
I even saw a chair.
Yes.
No limitations. So how did you get into this? Because you are from the warm state of Florida.
Yes. So I went to culinary school. That's where it all started for me, was at Cordon Bleu, Florida. And so I first saw a demonstration of it there and decided, hey, this is kind of cool. And ended up doing an internship underneath of a chef that was a master ice sculptor.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really where I got my hands on it first, was able to, see him doing this in Naples at the Naples Yacht Club on the loading dock. We're out there with chainsaws and chisels and all kinds of fun, dangerous tools.
Yeah.
And, we're working on this huge block of ice and turning it into something fun. And that's where I really kind of felt.
So it was at that moment that you kind of felt, so this isn't something that you knew when you were younger.
I had no idea.
I love it. So this is some of, gosh, the art that you have created. There's the chair.
Yes.
I can't even imagine. So kind of walk me through the process of how you make these. You mentioned tools. I can imagine this giant block of ice how does this work?
So we make all of our ice in-house. We use what's called a Kleinbelt ice machine, and it takes approximately 4 days to make one 300-pound block of ice. Each machine makes 2 blocks at a time, and we have 18 of those machines that we operate year-round. And from there, we harvest this ice 2 times a week and just keep stacking ice.
Harvesting this ice.
Right. It's kind of weird, you look at it and you have people that are like lumberjack ice actors having fun, right? So from that point, then we take the blocks and then it's utilized in many different ways, whether it be used to make a sculpture that's a 3-dimensional sculpture or a logo, or all the way down to a cocktail ice cube that's going to go into a beverage at one of the local bars.
How long does it take to make something? I mean, even just looking at this chair again.
Oh, goodness.
What is that taking?
That chair, I believe that one was somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 blocks of ice so 10 300-pound blocks. It was actually for a local high school's prom, and everybody sat in it. So that one took us the better part of about a day and a half to sculpt. But prior to that, we spent a lot of time in the planning as far as coming up with the designs and taking elements and just going the back and forth with our customer and do things and saying, hey, we really like this, or we don't like it.
Yeah, I just saw you guys making an eagle.
Yes.
For that one too.
Yes.
So I've had a couple of different artists on Side Hustle before, jewelry making, 3D printing. I think the difference with your craft is that it takes so long to make, and then eventually it disappears.
Yeah. Being ephemeral, it's here and there, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
And, I think that's what I like about it the most is, I get another opportunity to, some sculptures we do time and time again, some are on off, but, everyone's super important. So we've got this, sign that's in our shop. It says it might be your 800th one, but it's her only one. And so,
I love that.
that's just a little gentle reminder for us to always put our best into it and come up with it.
And I feel like with so many side hustles, because it started off as a side hustle, they start in interesting places. Yours started in your garage.
That's right.
So
That's right.
kind of take me back to that. What was that like?
Oh man, it was scary taking that jump. So when I moved to North Carolina from Florida, I was working in the kitchen. I was a sous chef at a country club and then found out, hey, this really isn't my jam. And so I decided, hey, let's go find a company that did nothing but sculpting. And so I started working for a company at the time that was called Ice Sensation. So I worked for Ice Sensations for quite a few years, and then the economy tanked in 2006, 7, right in that neighborhood. I was let go. So really bummed about that. And I absolutely love what I did. So I'm sitting around the table with my wife, in-laws, and said, hey, I've got this kind of crazy idea, but I'm gonna need to borrow a little.
These all start with a crazy idea.
And so, we're sitting there and we talked this through and they're like, I think we could do something with this. And so from that point, I went and I bought a small freezer about the size of this room and an ice maker and a chainsaw and a couple small tools and started competing against a company that let me go. So at that time, there was only. So from that point, just kind of kept growing. That's where it all started.
So how long were you in the garage?
In the garage
in the
area.
freezer.
So for me, when we first started the business, we were located in Huntersville. And then from Huntersville, we were there for about a year and a half, 2 years. And then we moved from Huntersville to Concord. Just relocated, bought a new house. This house had a bigger garage and more space. So I was naturally able to grow a little bit more, buy another freezer.
And did you have another job at this point too?
I did.
You did, okay.
Yeah. During this time, when I was let go from there, I went and I was working for a small little deli breakfast place. And, it's fun. It was, kept me busy, paid the bills, but I wasn't passionate about it. I went to high school to do fun things. And it was still food, but it wasn't, what. And so I was able to come up and start working. And
at what point were you kind of still working out of your garage saying, okay, we are bringing in enough cash flow where I can quit my other job and do this full blown?
Yeah, that was the hardest decision of my whole entire career through this whole thing was, all right, now I'm jumping off and now I need to be able to support my family with this.
Yeah.
And, it was, I think, about 8 months in to when we opened the business, I made that switch.
Wow. So under a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let's fast forward to today. So you are the owner of Artisan Ice Sculpture. Tell me about what you do.
So we do a little bit of everything in the world of ice, sculptures and cocktail ice. So all of our sculptures, go all over the place. It's whether it could be for a country club golfing event, a corporate brand recognition party, or a live demonstration that's going on for a winter festival or birthday or wedding, whatever it may be. Lots of oars.
I love that. And why do you think, what is it do you think about ice sculptures that make people, I don't know, look at that. That's crazy. I want this at my party or my event. How do people respond or react when you bring this thing in?
For me, it's the wow factor. It's always that's what this is about.
That actually sparked another curiosity. How do you bring something that looks like a bar?
Yes. Yep.
How do you load that in somewhere?
So that bar, we used approximately 300-pound blocks of ice to create this. This was for a wedding that was at the Ritz here just a couple weeks ago, as a fact. And so each piece is individually boxed, and we palletize everything, wrap it up, and transport it inside of free trucks.
You're an entrepreneur. You have to do marketing. Was that a lot? I couldn't imagine you had to do that when you were working at the deli or in a restaurant.
No, no, no.
Was that an adjustment?
It absolutely was. Going through culinary school, you're taught some of the aspects of managing a business. You're not really prepared for it until you're just thrown into the thick of it. And it was a massive adjustment, just learning all the ins and outs and learning the things I didn't know I needed to know. And it was a little bit of growing pain throughout the time, but luckily I had support behind me between my wife and my in-laws. They both had owned business over the past year, so they were able to kind of mentor me along.
And explain to people who don't know, what is cocktail ice?
So cocktail ice, if you're going to go to a nice restaurant and you order an old fashioned and it has a pretty 2-inch rock of ice in it that's crystal clear, that's what we do. So we make either cubes or spheres or Colin sticks or spheres with flowers frozen inside.
I know that so much has happened since starting this.
Yep.
What is next?
Really, for us, our focus is just continued growth. Year after year, we've been successful, and we've got a goal that we're trying to reach. And we just want to keep growing. Want to expand our reach with our cocktail ice as well as where our sculptures go.
Go check out their social media. I know we showed a lot of your sculptures, but there's a lot on there. That's just really fascinating to look at. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We will see you next time.
Full icon energy, working the angles 1, 2, 3. You got that look to a T. Full icon energy 1, 2, 3.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.